Hello everybody. I'd like to take a few minutes just to talk a bit about Module 2 and Module 3, which will be coming up in the next week to 2 weeks. So let's have a look here. I'll just open up, oh, not that one, just open up my graphic here. So right now you're responding to people in Module 1, and then Module 2 is coming due on May 17th, Sunday. And then you'll have till next week to comment on each other's. So these two are very straightforward. Let me jump around a bit here. Module 2, you're really looking at some of these pedagogic approaches and how they align with your own mind map. So it's really about thinking, well, what approaches are you already using, whether you considered them in that more formalized methodology or not. And if not, how can you tighten up some of the approaches? So I think that's a key element of doing this. And that's why if you look at my graphic here, how the focus really is how can you refine your curriculum development to improve those connections. So you may be doing some of these or employing some parts or aspects of some of these approaches, but I think it's important to really consider the larger approach and think about how are you applying that in your particular context. And you may find that you can tighten up or be a bit more thorough in some aspect of what you're doing with your students. So that's fairly straightforward. Module 3 then, you're going to then look at those approaches again, but then try to apply them to these case studies. So there's two elements in Module 3. If I come back up here again, we have the discussion forum where you look at a case study that's provided, one of the case studies provided, and that's so that all of you have some baseline and point of comparison with your classmates about those case studies and what you thought were the main approaches in those case studies. Concurrently, well, you actually have an extra week, but you should be doing this concurrently, looking at your own case study. And I'm quite happy to review or look at any case studies that you find. Whenever I do this course, I get a lot of emails from students asking me if one website or article or what have you qualifies as a case study. So have a look at some of the suggestions, and please feel free to send me any comments or any questions you have about whether or not what you want to look at is suitable. And also really keeping in mind your final assignment, in which you design your own connected learning experience. The assignment and the case study that you find for Module 3, really try to find one that really appeals to you and that relates to your current context. It's perfectly fine if you want to do one that you would like to do, whether or not it relates to your actual teaching context at the moment. But if you really want to get the most out of this assignment and really clearly relate it to your own teaching context, which is what I always recommend for students, see if you can find a case study that is something that you could implement or you've seen implemented or relates somehow to your local teaching context. And so let's just have a quick look at the assignment. So that's Module 2. Let me jump back here, go into Module 3. So here's the case study discussion. So pick one of the case studies, one of the exemplars, and really look at two of the most closely aligned pedagogic approaches. This makes it more manageable. It makes it easier for your classmates to read, and again, it makes it a lot easier to do those comparisons, because I think it's really important for you to look at what your classmates are getting out of these. Because some of these case studies, you could align them with several different types of approaches, and so it's important to think about, well, what approach might this actually be most closely related to? I think that's important to really get the most out of and be able to apply these approaches in your own work. So then when you come to the assignment, it says here to provide an overview of the case study. So where is it? The local context. Preferably, sometimes students pick case studies from the US or from Europe, but try to find one that's a Canadian-based case study. What learning theories relate most closely to the case? And then a few questions. What skills are the students developing? Top 3 challenges. And then extrapolate from the case study to discuss how you could implement some elements of this program. And that's, again, thinking ahead to your final project. So is this something you could apply, or are there elements of it that you could borrow, or, as I like to say, swipe, steal with integrity and purpose for your own project? So this is really a practical preview of your final assignment. And just really pay attention to the length. Try not to go over 1,000 words. Sometimes I get students writing 2,000 words, and it's really always a bit excessive. If you're not sure, you can send it to me. I'm happy to look at a draft and give you some advice on how you might want to reduce to really be concise, succinct, and really to the point. And try to follow some APA formatting. All that greatly enhances the readability of your work. And it is 35% of your grade. Okay, so I guess that's all I really need to say. Again, I just jump back to my course graphic here. I'm really keen, as this course is called the Connected Classroom, I'm really keen for you to see the connection between each of these modules and how they will build your own understanding of some of these pedagogic approaches that allow you to connect your students more closely to the curriculum, to their classmates, and to the larger community. And I'll talk about these 2 modules when we get closer, what tools, technological tools, mostly technology tools, and what are some of the approaches to those tools. All right, that's it for now. Thank you so much.